On today's Ohio Tech Report, we're talking flying cars in the Miami Valley, some tech innovation workforce initiatives that are coming to Youngstown, and a telehealth pilot project with one Ohio school district that's helping Ohio students get mental health services.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is Jeff Herrmann from the Youngstown Publishing Company, and welcome to the Ohio Tech Report, where each week in 7 minutes or less, we share the latest news and insights on companies and people driving Ohio's technology sector and those that are driving innovation and change. Chris, over to you.
Yeah, Jeff. So for our first story we're going to be talking about today is Ohio's first flying cars just happened in Springfield. So Springfield is just outside of Dayton, and this is a really big milestone. So the past week, a company called Lift Aircraft unveiled Ohio's first flying car at the Springfield-Beckley Municipal Airport. So it's called the Hexa All-Electric Aircraft, which is essentially a large multi-rotor drone that can fly up to 1,200 feet and carry a single passenger. So they brought the flying car to Ohio for research and was testing. It was made possible through this public-private partnership, which included the U.S. Air Force program at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And this is an incredible story for a lot of reasons, but a couple of my favorite, Jeff, are one, this is an Austin, Texas-based company, Lift Aircraft. So they're coming to Springfield because the airport's been really welcoming to this type of innovation and testing. And two, there's over 15,000 people on their wait list. And so if you want to be able to take a ride, you're going to have to take a number and wait a little bit.
Wow, 15,000 people on the wait list for this vehicle.
Yeah.
And so we're getting into the world of three-dimensional travel and three-dimensional flight controls.
Yeah. It's really cool, and I think this is one awesome story. But the bigger story is in the Dayton Springfield area. Again, because of the airport there, things like Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and the research. There's been a bunch of, whether it's drones or these flying cars, that are getting tested. And so this company is from Austin. Others have come from the New York City area. And it's just really awesome to see the amount of innovation and tech happening that's being built up, not just by people in state, but people are coming from across the country to do it here. Jeff, what do we have for story number two?
So story number two, we had a visitor in the Mahoning Valley today. Lieutenant Governor Husted specifically visited the Mahoning Valley because I tell you what, there are a large array. Workforce development and workforce initiatives are critical across the state. And obviously, the Mahoning Valley and Youngstown specifically is leaning into the number of workforce initiatives, but they're all very much technology-based. So Lieutenant Governor Husted, joined by President Jim Tressel, or Coach, as so many still call him. I often see him and I say, hey, Coach, I mean President. But there are multi-million-dollar initiatives to develop a skilled workforce to meet the needs of our fast-growing high-tech markets, electric vehicle, battery, and additive manufacturing. And, being here every day in, what's considered a smaller market in Ohio, there are four major initiatives happening that were celebrated today, once again, to the end of generating a skilled workforce. There's an excellence training center being built, a 54,000 square foot facility on the campus of Youngstown State. There's a YSU IT Workforce Accelerator program in partnership with IBM, and that's a unique program to the entire state of Ohio. There's the Energy Storage and Innovation Training Center, and that's a $1 million partnership with the Department of Energy's Oak Ridge National Labs. And then using, GM, the state of Ohio clawed back some money from General Motors recently, and $5 million of those dollars are used to invest in virtual career fairs via Altium Cells and Jobs Ohio to launch basically a 24/7, 365 digital experience to showcase the Mahoning Valley is a great place to live and work. So that's a lot of innovation happening in a market such as ours. That's pretty exciting for the future of tech and innovation across the state. So what do you have on tap for number three?
So our third story today is in Monroe County, which is in southeastern Ohio. There's a pilot project that's been going on with students so they can gain greater access to mental health services through a telehealth program. And this was a project launched last year in cooperation with Switzerland of Ohio Local School District, the state of Ohio, also led again by Lieutenant Governor John Husted, who has made tech and innovation such a big focus of his work at the state. So this is phase one of the state's broadband telehealth pilot project. 2,000 students and their families were part of this pilot, and the area was selected in part because over 70% of Monroe County residents don't have internet access, which seems wild in 2021 that that's happening in Ohio, but it's true. And so this is one of the state's largest districts geographic-wise in the state, and one of the most difficult areas to test something like this out. So they went to where it's hardest, trying to find tech, and the district's lone counselor often had to travel to an hour or more to meet with children and students about behavioral and mental health needs. And so thanks to this pilot project, students can meet with counselors in real time in a timely manner and use telehealth technology.
Well, so critical. I mean, for so many reasons. Number one, students and their mental health. The quarantine process and the online schooling has dramatically impacted students and their socialization. And I can attest to that. I have two kids in school. One of them isn't handling it so well. He really loves to be in school with his friends. And so there absolutely is great need for this. And then telehealth, reaching those that don't have direct access. I mean, I interviewed a physician from Mercy Health Bon Secours, and he said that, while the COVID and coronavirus and the pandemic has, been obviously a terrible thing that's happened, it's also driven a lot of innovation and agility and nimbleness from the healthcare systems and the ability to be more responsive and more agile to help those in need, especially in areas that aren't easily reachable. So this sounds like a great initiative.
Yeah, it is. And it's amazing that so many Ohioans, some of the studies have said about 1 million or so, don't have access to internet or high quality internet. And that is incredibly difficult to go to school, do work. And this past year, we've needed it more so than ever. So kudos to the state, kudos for the local governments and school districts that were able to partake in this and do a great service for kids, because as you mentioned, it's been a tough year for everyone, but especially students. A lot of curveballs in it, and it's been difficult. So really cool to see. But this has been a great recap. 3 stories going from kind of the Miami Valley in southwestern Ohio, northeastern Ohio, southeastern Ohio, touching all corners of the state, hearing what's going on in tech and innovation and how it's building Ohio, and a bunch of these cool stories that I think are part of larger trends. So it's fun to see the innovative, forward-thinking work that's happening.
Yeah, in fact, I heard a Jobs Ohio ad on the Wall Street Journal podcast. So it's great to see lots of innovation and great news and activities happening here. And it's good to see that we're having a very proactive position on attracting, all that talent, as we discussed last week. The fact that we're deploying campaigns as we speak, and it was fun to hear about the Ohio's leadership position on a nationally distributed podcast, if not.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, this has been a great conversation, Jeff. We'll put the stories in the comments. Always feel free to send us anything that you might have. But until next week, when we have more stories about tech and innovation in Ohio, we will see you then. But have a great weekend.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye-bye.